Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ryan West. I am your host. We have a great show for you today. We're actually in studio recording this one, which is great. So if you're going to watch this or you will be watching this on YouTube, welcome. We'd love to have you download and check out all of our episodes. You can get those on Apple, Google Play, Amazon, basically anywhere you have a podcast, you can check those out. Today's show is all about the Master Builders of Iowa, and I must confess, this is our second time trying this. Our guest is gracious enough to come in and talk to us again, and which is great because this is such a great topic that we're going to be talking about. Master Builders of Iowa's mission is to be the essential resource for improving member performance and promoting a business environment favorable to the construction industry. We're going to talk about what all that means here in a few. On the microphone with us today to talk all things MBI is Ben Hammes, who is the Director of Public Affairs, and Ben has been a great partner of Iowa Workforce Development previous to this job as well even. So, Ben, thank you for making time. Thank you for coming in again, and welcome to the Mission Employable podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's kick off this interview with the kind of a high level. First of all, what's your role within MBI? And what does really the Master Builders of Iowa stand for? What do they do?
Yeah, so Master Builders of Iowa, MBI, is an association that's been around for 110 years. And our group is a group of over 400 members that are all connected to the commercial building industry in Iowa. We are a group of contractors that are on the vertical side of construction in this state. We're working in the public and private sector, and it's really any big commercial building. That's kind of the core focus of our membership. Me specifically, I am our Director of Public Affairs, as you mentioned, and I'm responsible for our PR communication, lobbying efforts, and work on our workforce initiatives as well in some capacity. So, yeah, I kind of have my hands in a few different things for the association, but that's who we are. And you kind of gave us our mission statement. It's a wordy statement. We like to say that up front. We really focus on three core places: advocacy, education, and resources for our members.
Right, and 110 years, long time.
Yeah,
and you guys really, are involved in everything pretty much in the state of Iowa, right?
I
mean, for
on the
the
commercial
most part,
side.
On the commercial side.
So we kind of separate ourselves from the Home Builders Association and the residential versus commercial.
Yeah.
So that's where
your niche
and where
falls.
our members are.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things we talked about before this and the first time we talked was about the future the Build My Future event that was coming up.
Yeah.
That's passed. It was a huge success.
Yeah.
Great things. You guys were out there, obviously. There did appear to be more kids at that one than I think we've had at any of those events, and I think that's a great thing. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was representative of a lot of different industries.
It was
not just building.
Totally.
But I think that's really good. I think the intent was to give students a direction and an idea of potentially where they want to go. We saw law enforcement. We saw manufacturing. We saw agricultural production, and then obviously construction as well. So
for sure. That's the one thing about you guys in the trades in the building. You guys are so open. I've seen this on several occasions where yes, you're trying to find folks in when you put on an event, you're trying to get folks into your trade as well, but you're also willing to open it up to others too. And that's unique, I think.
Well, we've tried to take the new approach to that where, in our world, we have all these different associations, and everybody has their own niche. Everybody has their own mission. But at the end of the day, we're all going after the same kids.
Yeah.
We're all going after that future workforce. And so we've had some conversations with a lot of those organizations about how we support each other and kind of breaking down those, what we perceive to be and what have traditionally been those silos that we're operating in. And so supporting the Build My Future event is a perfect example of that. The Skilled Trades Initiative run through the Home Builders Association. That is something that we and our members who were at individually felt like it was a perfect example of trying to break that down. We want to get in front of all those kids that are still interested in different career paths. And that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. We're trying to gravitate.
Well, it was a great event and represented it extremely well since we're specifically talking about building and trades in the commercial side. It was a fantastic event, and it just has turned into this monster. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention website is mbi.build.
Yep.
Exactly. mbi.build. And a ton of great information out there as well. Let's segue a little bit, and we know about what we're trying to do. Let's talk about some of those challenges.
Sure.
What are those biggest challenges that you guys are seeing in essentially the commercial residential industry?
Yeah.
Commercial construction industry, excuse me.
That's okay. Yep. So for us, we kind of identified short-term challenges and long-term challenges. And on the short-term side, we're seeing price increases and supply chain issues, getting materials. Anybody who's built anything from a chicken coop to a public hospital understands the supply chain issues right now. You doesn't have to go very far to go in the store right now and understand that there's those challenges. And we're moving our headquarters as we speak. We're going through a building process right now, and things are on schedule, but they're all subject to those delays. And so everybody's seeing it. So that's the immediate short-term challenges that our industry faces. On the long-term side, it is the workforce. It's recruitment, and it's oftentimes it's the hardest thing to measure success. How do you know your efforts are paying off in the long run? So what we've tried to do is create events and create resources and missions that are actually showing those successes. So we talked about the Build My Future event, but we've translated that into career fairs that are actually hiring fairs. They're not unique in that sense, but they're for our members specifically. And
Right.
we're able to track then with our members how many hires they're actually getting as a result of these career fairs.
Yep.
And so again, on the long term, when we talk about long term challenges, it's all about workforce for us. And more specifically, then in the commercial building industry, that shortage is not necessarily on the project manager, project engineer, even VP level, right? That's not where we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the field. We're seeing it in the superintendent role. We're seeing it in those very vital, very important roles that make these projects go. So that's where we're trying to focus our efforts to is that field craft worker.
Yeah. How many members do you guys have?
We're above 415 now.
Okay.
So we break that down a little bit. So we have over 80 general contractors, and we are statewide. We operate in all four corners. And then the other 340 members are either subcontractors that are involved in the industry, or they are suppliers or service providers, as we call them in our association. What we've done recently too is we've been attracting a lot of architectural and engineering design professional firms when putting together content that we think is beneficial for both the contractor and the design professionals. We've put a big push on inviting those design teams to come in and then providing the content that is, working together through a project with sort of that collaboration between the design professional and the contractor.
Yeah, and is there? I don't know if there's an industry. Maybe your industry is the example of getting your foot in the door in these jobs leads to a lot of just continue moving up down the road. I think you mentioned that
100%.
last time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Just how it's just a great opportunity to move up and move in to do other things in the industry.
It's so competitive,
Right.
And the ability for opportunity and for advancement in this industry is
Better said.
I mean, it's insane. You can be either right out of high school and demonstrate your skills. You can go to 2-year training and demonstrate your skills, or you can go 4-year degree and demonstrate your skills. Either one of them, you're going to see those advancement opportunities.
Yeah.
In our industry, or in our association, I should say, we represent both union and non-union, and so we see both career paths. Whether you're going DOL apprenticeship program, whether you're going to non-union craft worker training, we have those avenues available to traditional and non-traditional students too.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so let's talk about as we've come out of the pandemic. Obviously, businesses, industries were looking for workers during the pandemic, but also well before the pandemic as well. The pandemic just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and shed light not only in your industry, healthcare, everywhere.
Right.
That's one of the things that I think gets lost in this, is that we were trying to do a lot of this before. What type are you guys seeing the biggest areas void that you're trying to promote, that you want to get people into? Is there a certain area that hey, we'd really love to market to get folks into this type of role within the industry?
Yeah, it goes back to the field. You've got to have qualified, really good people on your job sites that think about safety as their paramount issue, right? Everybody wants to come to the job and then they want to go home safely. So you have to be in the right mindset, but it starts in the field. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It goes to the field, but it starts at the top, and it's about implementing new cultures in these companies too. But putting that focus in the field level is vitally important as well.
Yeah.
So you got to find the right people. You got to find the ones that aren't made out for sitting behind a computer or aren't made out for doing a job that oftentimes a 4-year degree is going to set them up for. They know that. It's about how do we get them, and how do we know, or how do we get that opportunity in front of them early.
Well, we know there's plenty of kids that's what they want and that's what they're looking for. I mean, and your partners, your members are hiring kids right out of high school in a lot of cases. I think that's just to make sure we're clear on that. But just people looking for a career change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In that non-traditional sense.
Exactly.
We've seen that. We've had people come through our association that are looking for those types of opportunities. I know we'll get into sort of the marketing Build Iowa campaign stuff, so I won't bleed on that too much yet, but we've tried to lay that out so that a non-traditional student has the ability to look and see and do some exploration as well.
Yeah.
One of the things when you talk about the differences in the industry between residential and commercial, sometimes we do have barriers for students under 18, insurance purposes. There are some challenges there that are probably not going to change, and they probably shouldn't change. It's about safety. So we do run into that sometimes, but those college or those high school graduates, that's who really we're after. You know, personally, when I was 16 and 17, I was framing houses, and oftentimes another way of kind of breaking down those silos, I'll talk to students and tell them if they're really interested in construction before 18, go into home building and get the sense of that first,
right,
and then come into our industry.
Yeah.
So
I agree. You got to get your foot going there somewhere. Get wet, get used to it. One of the things we do at Iowa in our Iowa Works offices on a continual basis is serve anyone who walks through the door, and we get all walks of life. At our Iowa Works office here in Des Moines, I think we were up to 10 or 11 different languages that our staff speak. Those are the types of things we're going to get through the door, and we get folks who are just looking for their first job or looking for a career change. Who are your guys' target audience to fill your career vacancies? I know it's probably anybody that's qualified, but you're really, and that's a broad question, but are there certain areas that you'd like to see more that get into the industry?
It's again, I think you need the right individuals as well. We've done so much, I think we call it flock shooting, right?
Sure.
We've done that in the past. Now we want to get that into the people that are really interested in finding a very rewarding passion for being able to complete a project and then walking down the street 20 years later and telling their kids and their grandkids that they built that building, right? That's a very satisfactory thing that we can sell in our industry. That level of satisfaction is just huge for our group. Iowa Workforce Development, you guys have been great partners with us. We've promoted our Build Iowa stuff. We've worked on the endowment together. We've worked together on a lot of this stuff, and continuing to promote to those traditional and non-traditional students, I think is just it's really great. It's helping us out a bunch.
Well, and there's certainly kids out there that you're right. I agree with you. I mean, are they looking for a rewarding job?
Yeah.
And if you are, no matter who you are, could be a perfect career fit for you.
You're going to work hard.
Yeah,
you're going to get dirty.
No doubt about it.
But there's a lot of people out there that want that.
Right.
And they get stuck doing something that they know they don't want to do.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They need to know that this isn't your old shop class. This isn't your old job site in the 1960s, and it's just not.
Yeah.
These are highly tech jobs in a lot of cases. These are very advanced jobs. They're paying extremely well.
Yeah,
they're paying extremely well.
Let's talk about some of the wages on that.
Yeah.
Give us a ballpark on that.
So we
name that off the top of your head, Ben. Go ahead. Yeah.
We list this out on our buildiowa.org resource. So we lay out 26 different career paths that you can look into in the commercial construction industry, and it's right there on buildiowa.org. Yep. And without singling out any one particular career over the other, it's not uncommon to come in the industry right away north of that $50,000 range without any education, without any training.
Right.
It's not uncommon at all. If you are, in some cases, even with some experience walking into, working your way up to a superintendent role in 5 years or whatever, it's not very uncommon to see that north of that six-figure salary.
Yeah.
They are very desirable positions if you are competent, if you can run job sites, if you can keep schedules, if you can show up on time, if you can keep your guys safe.
Right.
That's what they're looking for in those types of roles. So again, I know plenty of people in the industry under 30 years old that are making north of that six-figure range.
Yeah, for sure.
It's out there.
Yeah, it is out there. And that website, I want to plug it again, buildiowa.org.
Yep.
There's great information out there on that site.
We try to make it as up-to-date as possible. We use your data from your BLM on wages and some statistics there.
Yep.
But we also line you up with any of the companies in our association that are willing to train right now on those types of jobs. And then we also have a job board that's connected to that. And the job board is live and active. We promote that job board as often as we can through our social and through our marketing channels as well. And so when you click on that job, you'll see when it's posted, but it'll take you right to the company. It'll give you a direct person that's looking for you right now.
Yep.
And it's about as easy and as seamless as we can make it for anybody seeking out opportunities in our industry.
Yeah, which it needs to be that way. I've got feedback. I grew up around folks who worked in construction and poured concrete for 30, 35 years, and let me tell you, there is no truer statement than when you're with somebody and they built that building, they will tell you that they built that building.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about it.
It's great. It's great, especially in your community, right?
That's totally true.
Yeah.
And I do think folks who are in that field, they like things that are easy, and that's when you can make it easy, you're going to attract more folks as well. So just a great thing. BuildIowa.org. Okay, what options are available to students and non-traditional students to pursue if they are interested in construction? From a standpoint of if you had somebody walk in the door in those areas, what would be your plug on why they need to check out Iowa? BuildIowa.org, excuse me, Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, again, it goes back to trying to identify what it is they're interested in first, and then trying to equip them with the information that they can take and explore further.
Yeah.
And then lining them up directly with the companies that are trying to pursue, or those individuals. Those career fairs that I mentioned earlier that we host across the state, that's about putting our members right in front and directly connecting them to those individuals, whether they're in high school or whether they're out. They're traditionally bringing your 11th, 12th, and then community college age students to those, but we will take non-traditional individuals who want to meet with these members as well.
Yeah, and I probably should have phrased that question this way for those non-traditional. You'll get folks who are 30s, mid-30s, looking for a career path change, right? Fair thing, and we're seeing more of that now as well, and so there's nothing wrong with that.
And we have association politics. We have to ensure that we're not pushing people to one company, right? So that's why we use our Build Iowa resource to say, here's the info, here's everybody that's doing this now. Now you go seek them out, right? But going back to that non-traditional individual, I'm not talking about non-traditional student. I'm talking about the non-traditional interested in construction student.
For sure. Yeah.
So instead of looking at what we call legacy individual whose dad or grandfather or grandmother or mother was in the trades, how do we get in front of those kids that are ag students? How do we get in front of those kids that are doing other things with their hands that have never even considered commercial construction? That's the dial we're trying to turn to now.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about the Build Iowa program. And what's that all about? And give us the scoop on that.
We set that up in 2016, 6 years ago now. We poured a bunch of money into the marketing, really, again, to lay out those 26 different career paths. I mean, land surveyor to building inspector to rigger to roofer to laborer, carpenter, all the trades that we can conceivably think of.
26.
In there, 26. Some, including workforce development, would identify those jobs a little bit differently. We understand that there's some classifications there, but in our world, there's what we think of as 26 different career paths you can take to get into the industry. And again, it's about talking about the wages, what the training requirements are, how you get into that position, who's training right now, who you need to call in order to figure that out, and then what the jobs are, and then looking at the open positions. So we use that Build Iowa sort of, again, marketing arm in everything we do workforce under the MBI tent.
And people can find out more. Where do they find that information out? By going to Build Iowa?
Correct. BuildIowa.org.
Yeah. And and you've given me some information on this. It's really in depth, but not too much. It's easy to follow information. It really does give you great information on why these are great fields.
And try to line up, if apprenticeship is your route, here's how you get there.
Yeah.
If direct into work is your route, here's how you get there. And if you want to pursue a 4-year degree at Iowa State or UNI, here's your path to getting there.
Yeah.
So we've also included some statistics in there about, different decisions, which routes you're going on average, what are the debt loads, what are the, average pay scales upon graduation or graduation from a training program, or whatever those are.
Yeah.
Again, we're union and non-union. So you look at different packages on the union side compared to non-union side. They are different. And so there's a lot of options. When we're here to try to help you navigate those options if you want.
Yeah, and a lot of options all over the state of Iowa.
Yep.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so again, a couple shout outs. So let's remind folks you can check out MBI.build, and then also, of course, we just kind of were alluding to buildIowa.org. And there's not that MBI.build doesn't have a ton of information, but buildIowa.org is really where you're going to go. As you said, the marketing arm to look at those opportunities, where they're at, the scale, all of the packages, all of that jazz.
Yeah,
great,
absolutely.
Great information. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, anything else you want to add?
Well,
Ben?
the one last thing I'd talk about quick, and this is the reason I'm plugging this, is because Workforce Development did have a key role in helping us roll this out. The state of Iowa, in launching our MBI Works endowment. We have an endowment now that's available to any school district across the state or nonprofit. We set up that endowment to be creative on trying to pursue projects that are unique and that are different in attracting students and non-traditional students into our industry. And so we have a pot of money that we took some reserves, about $5 million worth, and we give that out to those qualifying programs across the state on an annual basis. And we've seen that only grow. Even during COVID, the applications tapered, but we had the funding go up, and we've been giving out, and we've been doing some really neat stuff from everywhere from Strawberry Point, Forest City, Sioux City, obviously the Des Moines metro area. We've been all over the state with this endowment, and we really hope to grow that. And so I'm making a plug every time I can to those individuals who serve on their private boards or their school boards or things in their community to really go to MBI.build and check out that endowment. There's some eligibility requirements among partnering with MBI members, but it's the funding is there. We're really trying to get more and more of these really, really good programs running in this state. You know, there's been that 20-year reduction in a lot of times shop classes and the focus in high schools. And we've poured a lot of money back into those programs in those school districts to try to build those up again. And so trying to make sure everybody understands the options that are available for some funding as well.
That's great stuff. Awesome. Thank you for mentioning us as well. Great stuff. You're a great partner of us. Congratulations on what you guys are doing. I know certainly you guys are pushing the needle, pushing the envelope on innovation and what you can do to really get folks engaged in these career opportunities for the great state of Iowa. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Ben Hammes, who is the Director of Public Affairs, for Master Builders of Iowa. Thanks, man, for coming in again. I really appreciate your time. Great stuff.
Thank you.
All right.